Namami Shankaracharya Gurupada Saroruham Isya Prasadan Modhopi Sarvagyoham Sada Bhavam Kamakshi Karunarupam Kamakoti Jagadguru Chinmurtin Kalajay Chitte Shankaracharya Mapjayam Bhaktagri Sambhuta Shankararnava Gamini Punatu Bhonam Punya Shri Guru Sarita Pada Veda Vedanta Samrajya Dharma Kamartha Mokshadam Vidyaranyan Numah Punyan Jo Vidyaranya Madhyanatu Sadashiva Shri Brahmendra Dhrita Swapada Padukan Dhiran Parashuvendraryan Dhyayami Satatam Hridi Deve Dehe Cha Deshe Cha Bhaktyarogya Sukhapadam Utha Pamara Seviyantam Shri Jayendran Namamyaham Namami Shankaran Vakya Vijayendra Saraswati Shri Gurum Shishtamarganu Netaram Sanmati Pradam Satyanarayana Kshetrat Satyavratam Upagatam Ashraye Kamakoti Isam Satya Shri Chandrasekharam Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyavam Aspadacharya Parjantam Guru Vande Guru Paramparam. Last year, Srimad Shankara Bhagavatpāda Acharya's 2500th Aradhana was conducted, and after that, our Jagadguru Shankaracharya, Shri Kanchi Kamakoti Moolamna Sarogya Peethadipati, Shri Shankara Vijayam Saraswati Swamihal visited Rameshwaram and completed his Tirtha Yatra by himself performing with his own hands Abhisheka to Ramanatha Swami. And starting on that auspicious occasion, with the prarthana of doing Anusandhanam of the original Shankara Vijaya text, we have started this prayatnam, and we are right now examining the Anandagiriya Shankara Vijayam, which was composed by Srimad Anandagiri, a direct disciple of Srimad Bhagavatpāda Acharya. And in this text, Anandagiri has recounted how Bhagavatpāda debated with the proponents of various matas. Some of them quoted the Vedas, but they also added some other aspects which are not found in the Vedas. And Bhagavatpāda corrected those matas, even though it is said sometimes the word Nirakaranam is used, but it was actually a correction. Whatever the aspects were that were conflicting with the Vedas, Bhagavatpāda corrected that. And in that, after that, Bhagavatpāda debated with, he went to see one very senior scholar by name Kumarila Bhatta. He was a very staunch Vaidika and a Mimamsaka, and Bhagavatpāda wanted, and the point was that they were saying that Karmanusthana should never be left, which is correct, but they also said that because of this one should not take up sannyasa, which is not correct. So because Bhagavatpāda wanted to discuss with them and clarify this point with them, because they were fully Vedikas, and but it was so that Kumarila Bhatta Acharya was at the last stage of his life, and he said that you should go and consult, you go and speak with my shishya Mandara Mishra. And after the passing of Kumarila Bhatta, Bhagavatpāda went and he debated with Mandara Mishra, and he gave sannyasa to, because Mandara Mishra lost in that debate, and Bhagavatpāda gave sannyasa to him by the name of Sureshwara. Mandara Mishra is considered to be an avatar of Brahma, and his Dharmapatni, Sarasavani, an avatar of Saraswati Devi. And in the previous Prakarana, so far now we are about to start we have started the 38th session of this Anusandhanam, and we are about to examine the 63rd Prakarana of this text. So in the previous Prakarana, up to the previous Prakarana, it was shown how Bhagavatpāda installed the Saraswati Devi, who had come in the form of this Sarasavani when she was about to, she left her physical form, she was about to leave for Brahmaloka. Bhagavatpāda installed her at the Tungabhadra Sangama Kshetra, because Saraswati is Sharada, and she is standing in the standing form. Bhagavatpāda installed her at that Tungabhadra Sangama Kshetra, and Bhagavatpāda established a Peetham there, here a Peetha and a Matha there. And Bhagavatpāda also, this right now, this is where this 63rd Prakarana starts, and it says that Tatraiva Paramaguruhu, Bhagavatpāda stayed there for a long time. Vidyapithe sthitva bahushishyebhyaha shuddhadvaita vidyayaha samyakupadesham kritva. So Bhagavatpāda taught the Shuddha Advaita Vidya to very many shishyas from that Tungabhadra Sangama Kshetra. Tadanantaram, so after that, Bhagavatpāda installed one of his, appointed one of his shishyas to take care of that Pitha from then on. Pīthādhyakṣam kritva bhoganamakam lingam tasmin pithe nikshipya. So earlier it was said how Bhagavatpāda brought the 5 Shivalingas, the Spatika Lingas by name Chandramaulishwara from Kailasa, from Bhagavan Shiva himself. And of that, the Bhogalinga Bhagavatpāda installed at that Tungabhadra Sangama Kshetra. Tasmat, so after leaving that Kshetram, Ahobilakyam Nrasimha Virbhuti Sthalam Prapya, Tatra Nrasimham Stutva. So Bhagavatpāda went from that Karnataka region to Ahobila, which is in Andhra Desha. And it is also in other texts, it is said that that was the Kshetra where Padmapada, in his Purva Ashrama, did tapas to have darshana of Narasimha Bhagavan. And Bhagavatpāda, even though it is not said here in this Prakarana, Bhagavatpāda visited that Kshetra. It is said here that Bhagavatpāda visited there and prayed to Bhagavan Narasimha. Tasmad Venkatagirim Prapya. From there, Bhagavatpāda went to Tirumala, Tirupati Kshetra, Venkatagiri, and Shri Venkatesham Akhila Karanam Shuddha Advaita Rupannatva. So, Bhagavan Shri Venkatesha, who is the Jagat Karana, he is of pure Advaita form. And Tatra Archakadin Sarvanapi Advaita Pratin Kratva. So, this is a unique statement. It is said that Bhagavatpāda made the Archakas there as acceptors of Advaita. So, the thing is that the puja paddhati of each particular kshetra is as per one particular agama or some other particular paddhati. But in the end, the siddhanta of Advaita is something that everybody has to accept, and that is what is specifically intended here. Tasmat Kanchi Nagaram Pravishat. So that Bhagavatpāda did Upadesha of that Advaita Vidya and gave Anugraha to them, the Venkateshwara Archakas, that they accept Advaita, and from there he came to Kanchipura. Tatra kila Bhagavan Mahadevaha Swakiya Prithivi Murti Avirbhuta Linga Rupena Ekamresha iti prasiddho vartate. So the Mahatmya of Kanchipura has been described in various texts, and in Kamakshi Vilasa it is described how Bhagavan Shiva was manifest there, and it is to protect Markandeya. He came in the form of a single mango tree, and that is why he is called Ekamreshwara, and he is described there as the Tatparya, the Mooladhana of all the Vedas, and residing at Kanchipuram as Ekamreshwara. And the Tasmin Sthale Masamatram Sthitva Shambhu Pratishtha Purvakam Shiva Kanchi iti Pattanam Nirmaya. So it is not Masamatram, does not mean he stayed there for only a month, but after coming there and staying a month, he did Pratishtha of Shambhu. So what does this mean? It means that we can see in other texts also, it is described how Bhagavatpāda at that time, for example, Shri Sadashiva Brahmendra's Jagadguru Ratnamala says, Srita Nirmala Rajasayana Chola Kshitipalodhrita Vipradeva Shalaha Varadasya Tatha Ambranayakasyapi Uru Veshma Dvayakrit Jayayamesya. So at that time, it is said that Kanchipuram was under the ruling of the Shoya Rajas, and one particular king by name of Rajasayana Shoya. And we can see in the pictures describing Bhagavatpāda's Sarvagya Vaitharohanam that a king himself does the Chamaropachara to Bhagavatpāda, and it is this particular king who came and bowed to Bhagavatpāda, and through him, that king, Bhagavatpāda did a Punar Nirmana of the Kanchi Kshetram. That is, he renovated all the dwellings of the Vedikas there, and also the dwellings of the various devatas. See, there is one text, a separate text by name of Kanchipura Mahatmyam, which describes the 108 Shivalingas, the Shiva Kshetras within Kanchipuram itself. And it was earlier, it was published by the orders of the earlier Jagadguru Shankaracharya Shri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Mahaswami. And now, in the presence of our today's senior Jagadguru Shankaracharya Shri Shankara Vijayam Saraswati Shri Sharma, it has also been published again, republished. This Kanchipura Mahatmyam. So, why I mentioned this is for the various Shivalinga Sannidhis, Shiva Sannidhis, which are present in Kanchipuram itself. So, especially the Punar Nirmana of all these Shiva Kshetras, and especially of Ekamreshwara temple. And again, along with that, Tat Prak Brahma Yajna Kunda Avirbhuta Vishtum Varadarajanāmanam Samashritya Tatra Vishnu Kanchi iti Prasiddham Pattanam Nirmaya. So, the Mahatma of Varadaraja Swami, who is there in Vishnu Kanchi, it is said that he was manifest in the Yajna Kunda of Brahma. And Bhagavatpāda went and worshipped Varadaraja Swami also. And again, likewise, like in Shivakanchi, Bhagavatpāda also did renovation, and especially to the Varadaraja temple and to the Ekamreshwara temple, Uru Veshpadvajakarat Bhagavatpāda caused a large, increased, renovated that to a bigger scale, on a bigger scale. And that is why it is said that Shivakanchi iti Pattanam Nirmaya, Vishnukanchi iti Pattanam Nirmaya, Shambhu Pratishtha Purakam. So all this Pratishtha refers to, it is possibly referring to Kumbhabhishekas which Bhagavatpāda caused to be performed at that particular kshetra. Tat Sevartham Brahmanadin Aneka Sevaka Bhakta Janana Sampadya. So to take care of the puja of the Ekamreshwara and Varadaraja Swami, of all parts of society, Bhagavatpāda appointed devotees as sevakas, and Tanapi Shuddha Advaita Vrattan Kritva. So as mentioned earlier, even though there are various upasana, the temple paddhatis are based on agamas and other such traditions, even though the basic Advaita Siddhanta is something that has to be accepted by everybody. Iti Kritva Sarva Vedanta Tatparya Ekanishtaha Paramaguruhu Sukhamasa. So as mentioned earlier, the Parama Tatparya of all the Vedantas is on that particular single supreme being called, whether you want to call it Brahma Vastu or Atma or Shiva or Vishnu. But that single Vastu is where our Nishtha should be. And with that Nishtha, Bhagavatpāda was living pleasantly at Kanchipuram. Tataha Taddeshavasena Sarve Tamravarni Tatasthascha. So especially the scholars there and scholars who came from Tamravarni Tira. Tamravarni, which is present in southern Tamil Nadu, and especially that on the Tamravarni bank, there is one important kshetra today called Tirunelveli, and the greatness of that kshetra has been described variously in Venuvana Mahatmyam, Tamravarni Mahatmyam, and so on. It has been especially described as Dakshina Kanchipuram. So, and various points by which Kanchipuram has been connected with that Tirunelveli kshetram has been described in these Puranas. And in such a Tamraparni, from the banks of that Tamraparni, a particular village which is known today as Brahmadesha, Brahmadeshodbhavam, from that particular kshetra, various scholars came here. So this is mentioned in that Maha Itihasa, the great Itihasa Grantha called Shivarahasya also. Tamravarni Tiradesha Vasino Vibhutastada. So they come here and they ask Bhagavatpāda, they debate with Bhagavatpāda, Vida Satyamibhabhati Tvaja Tvaikyan Nigadyate. So they are all Shuddha Vaidikas. So they discuss, they debate, and even in other texts it is said that especially in Jagadguru Ratnamala, Upayatsu Budheshu Sarvadigbhyaha, from all parts of Bharata, scholars come here, and this is the Sarvagyapeetharohanam being described here, that Bhagavatpāda debates with, because Kanchipuram is a kshetram which has a Sarvagyapeetham, since it is a Vidya kshetram since time immemorial. So Bhagavatpāda did Sarvagyapeetharohanam at Kanchipuram also, and this is what is he debated with the scholars from all over Bharata, especially especially Tamraparni scholars. It will be clarified presently. And they come and ask Bhagavatpāda, Swaminna Sarvada Bhida Satyamibhabhati Yatham Abhedasya Satyatvam Vaktum Uchitam. So the words are almost exactly the same between Shivarahasya and Anandagiriya here. How can you say that Advaita is Satya? Because what appears to be Satya is Bheda, Dvaita, the difference, duality, or not just duality, differences between so many innumerable objects in this world. So this is exactly the same doubt that was raised by a Shishya very early on in this text, when Bhagavatpāda was teaching Advaita, even before his sannyasa svikara. It was recounted how a Shishya asked the Guru, how can we accept, you are saying that Advaita is the truth, but how can we accept this? Because to my experience, I see so many different vastus, and So, and not only my pratyaksha experience, but Shastra also describes so many things that is going to be given in detail here. Deha bhedasya jiva parabhedasya varna pratyaksha drishtatva. So there are so many bodies, and in each body there is a jiva, and there is a jiva, there is a paramatma. The difference between the jiva and paramatma is there. All these differences are there. These are all mentioned in the Shastras itself. Tasmat bhedaiva paramartha iti brumaha. So we have to accept that bheda is truth, satya. Paralokepi sukradadivashat keshanchit swarga praptihi, keshanchit naraga praptihi, keshanchit archiradi margadvara brahmaloka praptihi. The very concept of jiva leaving body is something that has to be known from the Shastra only. What is seen by pratyaksha is only that the prana vritti, the breathing subsides. What happens after that, it's not known. It has to be known only from the Shastras. So the Shastra says that this jiva leaves this body, and as per the punyas that it has performed, it will go and attain Swarga. As per papas it has performed, it will go and attain Naraka. And especially even in the Punyagati, there are those who have done a special upasana and such special, very extremely devoted to Bhagavan, and or done yoga sadhanas and such things. So they go by a path called Archiradi Marga, where the Devata, a Pradhana Devata, is the Devata of Uttarayana. So this does not refer to a person passing away in the period of Uttarayana, but it refers to the Devata of Uttarayana who is taking this such a jiva to Anuttama Loka, which will be described presently. And this is something that has been debated in the Brahma Sutras itself, and that it is not the time period of Uttarayana that is intended, but the Devata. So that Devata takes such upasakas to what is called Brahmaloka. So it is all, even though it is called Brahmaloka, to Shiva Bhaktas it will appear as Kailasa, to Vishnu Bhaktas it will appear as Vaikuntha, and so on. Ganesha Bhaktas it will appear as Swananda, and such form aloka from which where that devotee or that upasaka, he stays in the physical, in the presence of his upasya devata. So that marga is called the Archiradi marga. So that marga, this is also said in the Shastras. And those who have not gone to that extent, because upasana, it is in the Shastras, in the Taittiriya Upanishad Bhashya, Bhagavatpāda says, Shastrokta alambana vishaya, whatever be the Shastrokta upasana vishaya, that upasana phala will be obtained. If somebody worships Shiva or Vishnu or such direct forms of Paramatma, then they will, depending on their paripakvata, they will attain this, they can attain this Brahmaloka. And Keshanchil Yakshaloka Prapti. So somebody who is doing upasana of not such devatas, but some lower devatas, such as Yakshas, then they will attain that loka. Keshanchil Yakshaloka Prapti, Keshanchit Pashupatanam Rudraloka Prapti, Sauranam Talloka Prapti, Ganamatyanam Talloka Prapti, Abhidushantavat Antantavah Prapti. So one who does upasana of Surya or Ganapati or Pashupati, they will all attain that lokas. And somebody who is not doing any such upasanas but spending the entire life in ragadvesha and in such negative actions, then they will go and fall in dark, andhan tamaha, darkness. And this is all given in the Shastras. So we have to accept the Shastra as pramana. Evam anekadha anekaloka prapti riti krutva bheda seva paramarthikatvam sambhavati. So we have to accept that bheda, differences are true. Only then these Shastras will be acceptable. We can preserve the pramanya of the Shastras. Iti puravakshe prapte paramaguru revam patati bhod dvijavaraha kimu paramarthikam aviditam bhavudbhihi. Okay, so Bhagavatpāda says, oh, you are good scholars, but you have not understood the entire import of the Vedas. So you are quoting from the Vedas and from the Shastras, which is correct. But, and this particular point we have also mentioned much earlier, in the context of doing samanvaya between Vaishnava, Shaiva and so on, we specifically said that, see, some Veda passages are speaking about Vishnu as the Paradevata and some as Shiva as the Paradevata and so on. So we have to give equal importance to every part of the Shastra. So if we have to give such equal importance, we can't say that I will accept only the Shastras which are giving importance to Vishnu, and I will give some other meaning to the Shastras which speak about Shiva, or vice versa. So we have to accept all the Shastras as Praman. Then we have to say that Vishnu or Shiva or whatever be the Upasya Devata, they are all forms, various forms taken by the single Paramatma to give anugraha to his devotees. So for the convenience of the devotees, because the Paramarthika Swarupa is not so easy to fathom. So this is what we have mentioned much earlier. So likewise, when Shastra is speaking about this Veda Vakyas, I mean, lots of Vedas, differences between the various lokas, from Karma Anushtana, see, I see so many different things, and I see that the Veda is there, and the Veda has, I read the Veda, I study the Veda, I learn something from the Veda. All this has Dvaita implicit in it. But we also have to give importance to the Veda passages which are speaking about Advaita very clearly. So the passage which says Yatra tu sarvam asya sarvam atmaiva bhut. So when one attains that stage where everything has become none other than his own Atma Swarupa, the Sarvabhyapi Swarupa, that can compassionate from by which Karmendriya, Jnanendriya, such as the eye, can he see what object, by which Karmendriya, such as the see or experience, and by which Karmendriya, such as the hand or other, can he hold or capture, take any particular object, because he is seeing only that single Paramartha Vastu everywhere, inside, outside. So these passages, we have to give equal importance to these passages also. So when we are faced with this situation, then we have to understand. So we have to understand that whatever passages are speaking about Dvaita, they do not say that Dvaita is true. The Veda has to speak us at the level that where we are. So we are experiencing this Dvaita, this Prapancha, so many different vastus. So the Veda comes to our level and says that you do this, if you want to attain this, do that, do this, do that. So this is the level where the Veda descends to us. This is the Vyavaharika Satya. In the Vyavahara Loka, this is true. Whatever the Shastra says, all these lokas of the Devatas and all these Karmanuttaras, the phalas of these Karmanuttaras, this is true. No doubt about it. But this all depends on the Dvaita Drishti which we already have. These passages do not say explicitly that Dvaita is true. But those passages explicitly say that Advaita is true. That such an experience exists where one does not see anything other than oneself. That Paramananda Sthiti. So, we have to give importance to those Veda Vakyas also. So, we have to understand that that experience, that Advaita experience is the Paramarthika Satya. And this Dvaita experience, all these lokas, all these karma phalas, they are all Vyavaharika Satya. And of course, below that, we have this Pratibhasika Satya. When a superficial appearance, we see a rope and we think that it is a snake. And that snake is true as long as that appearance continues. But once that appearance dissolves, then that snake is no longer true. Likewise, this world experience, this is an experience, this is an appearance. And because Shastra emphatically states that there is a higher Satya than this, that Advaitam Satyam, and because of that, this experience, this Vyavaharika Satya is not Paramarthika, this is not permanently true. So this will also dissolve at one point of time, at which that Jnani, he attains, he merges with that single Vastu, and he realizes that he is that single Vastu. So these Shruti Vakyas, Shrutibhi Sarvasya Atmaropatvena, this is what those Shruti Vakyas say. Jnanaddi Dagdha Papa Panjarasya Bhartyasya Na Bhidadyotatetsya. So when a person who is so far has been bound by the cage of all his karmas from the Purvajanmas, that cage has been burnt by the fire of jnana. So then he will not see this Dvaita. And because of that, Veda Bhavan Muktihi. So because he no longer sees this Dvaita, he will attain moksha. Iti samasta Vedanteshu Nishchitatvad na Sandeha Gandha. There is not even the mildest smell of such a doubt that Dvaita could be Paramarthika. And even another Shruti Vakya, which is also quoted in the much earlier Prakarana, as reply to that question of the Shishya, that the Veda clearly states that Paramatma is the one who created this world or the body and entered it as the Jiva. So that same Paramatma Swarupa is present here as the Jiva Swarupa also. Ityadi Shastra Tatparyena Jagatkartoho Brahmaneva Jiva Rupena Jagadantah Praveshavagamat. So Advaitam Satya. Kincha Tattad Upasakanam. So that is the Paramarthikam. Then in the Vyavaharikam, in the Vyavaharakala, Tattad Upasakanam Tattalloka Praptiriti Bhavodbhiruktam Yadyasti Jiva Bhedaha Tada Bhavishyati. So as long as that Jiva Bheda exists in the Vyavaharakala, the differences between the various Jivas, it will happen. That Upasana will give that phala, no doubt about it. And even in the Yagyas, there is Vishwaya Devas. So Vishwaya Devas, there are 13 Vishwaya Devas who are related to Shraddha, but this is about the entire gamut of the various Devatas. So there is a Upanishad passage which asks how many Devatas are there. And it says 33, 303 and 3003. This is one particular count. So a total of 3339. And further questioning happens. And it progresses such that it says Mahimana Eva Ishame. So it says that all these 3,300 and odd, or even if you want to more, you want to quote a bigger number, all those are various Shaktis of the single Paramatma Swarupa. So even if you count more, it will progressively subside into that single Paramatma Devata, and that Prana Ekarupatam Devanam Darshayati Tatasaiva Ekasya Yugapadaneka Rupatam Darshayati. So that single Paramatma Swarupa has taken up all these forms. That is what is shown even in that Karmanusthana Prakarana, in the Prakarana of Yagas. And just like you quoted Shrutis, let us examine Smritis also. Atmanovi Sharirani Bahuni Bharatarashabha Yogi Kuryat Balam Prapya Taishta Sarvair Mahim Charet. So Yogishwara, a yogi, he can create many bodies for himself. And he can travel various parts of this world using all those bodies. Prapriyat Vishayan Kaishchit Ugram Tapascharet. So at the same time, by some bodies he may experience lots of pleasures, and by other bodies he might be performing severe penance. Sankshipecha Punastani Surya Rashmiganani. So he, at the end, he will be capable of destroying all of them and will come back to a single Sharira, just like the sun is able to receive back all his rays. So this, if this is possible for a yogi who has attained yoga by prayatna, by his own effort, Devan Jatika Prapta Animadi Aishwaryanam Yoginam api Yugapadaneka Sharira Yogam Darshayati Kamu Vaktavyam Ajana Siddhanam Devanam. So even if somebody has received all these capabilities by doing yoga abhyasa, he is capable of taking up various forms at the same time, then there is no doubt that Devas, like Indra, Agni and so on, because of such capabilities, they are Aneka Rupa Pratipatti Sambhavache Ekeka Devata Bahubhi Rupaihi Atmanam Pravibhajya Bahushu Yageshu Yugapadanga Bhavangachati. So at the same time, when many people are doing ishtis, the same Agni can receive Havis at many places, the same Indra can receive Havis at many places. Parishtana Drishyate Antardhana Shakti Yoga Ityupapadyate. And but such devatas are not seen physically being present in the yagyas, because they have such capability to stay invisible. Vigrahavatam. So like if this is true for the devas, then those devas are themselves various forms of that single Paramatma. Teshvapi Chaitanyasya Ekarupatvat सर्वस्यापि देवगणस्य ब्रह्मरूपत्वाच्च ब्रह्मबहुस्यां प्रजायेय इति श्रुतेः. So this Upanishad, the Vedas clearly state that the single Paramatma has taken up all these forms. Tasmat sarvajnam nitya shuddha buddha mukta swarupam karanam brahma mumukshubhirupasaniyam iti siddhantaha. So if you want all those various phalas, definitely you can do upasana as per the Shastra of all those devatas, you will get that phala, no doubt about it. That is Vyavaharika Satya. But if you want moksha, then you have to do upasana of that Parabrahma Swarupa, which is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupa. Tasmat, this is the Upadesha of Bhagavatpāda to those scholars. Tasmat Bhavantopi Jivatma Bhedam Sarvam Paritijya Shuddha Advaita Brahma Upasanaya. So discard this thought that the difference between the Jivas and the Paramatma is true. Do Shuddha Advaita Brahma Upasana. How is this Upasana possible? Upasana means that this person who is doing the Upasana is different from the Devata who is being worshipped. But then what is the intent? Is that one should realize that Sarvatma Vastu, that Parabrahma is one's own self. That is what is intended by the word Upasana here. And like as in much earlier Prakaranas, Bhagavatpāda says, Mukta Bhavata. You shall attain Mukti through this. Iti Samyak Upadishtaha Kanchi Tamraparni Tiradeshavasinaha Shuddha Advaita Vidyashrita Babho. The people from Kanchi, from the Tamraparni, the scholars from there, and so many other parts of Bharat, they took up this pure Advaita Vidya. Iti Anandagiri Girtau Prakaranam Trishashtikam. So this ends the Prakarana, and it was at this particular juncture that the leader of this group of scholars from Tamraparni by name Vardhana, his son, who was not yet even 7 years of age, he debated with Bhagavatpāda for 3 days, and he accepted Bhagavatpāda's Siddhanta, and Bhagavatpāda, being extremely pleased with this child by name of Mahadeva, he gave sannyasa to that child and took him as his shishya by name of Sarvajñātma, because he came at the occasion of Sarvajña Peitharohana, and he is the one whom Bhagavatpāda appoints under the protection of Shri Sureshwaracharya for this Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham. And thus ends the 60, but this is not directly mentioned in this chapter, but this is the occasion where that happens. And thus ends the 63rd chapter, and from the 64th chapter, let us examine in the further sessions. By Guru Kripa. Sarva Vyapaka Chaitanya Rupena Adhyapi Tishtari Deva Shankaracharya Guru Mukti Pradasata. Hara Hara Shankara, Jai Jai Shankara.